I'd like to call to order the meeting of the Village Board for May 9th, 2023. Can you please join us for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Madam Clerk, would you please call the roll?
President DeSimone,
Here.
Trustee Carmona.
Here.
Trustee Franz,
Here.
Trustee Fry.
Here.
Trustee Lomax.
Here.
Trustee Penicola.
Here.
That's 6.
Would the Deputy Clerk please read the proclamations?
Okay, first proclamation recognizing May as Mental Health Awareness Month. Whereas mental health is essential to overall health and well-being. And whereas mental health conditions are common and treatable. And whereas promoting mental health and preventing mental illness involves reducing stigma, providing support, and increasing access to treatment. And whereas the Village of Bensenville recognizes the importance of mental health awareness, education, and advocacy for all residents. And whereas May is nationally recognized as Mental Health Awareness Month, providing for an opportunity to raise awareness and understanding of mental health and to help reduce the stigma associated with mental illness. Now therefore be it proclaimed that the Village of Bensenville acknowledges May as Mental Health Awareness Month and encourages all residents to take time to learn about mental health, promote wellness, and support those who may be struggling with mental illness. Proclaimed this date, May 9th, 2023.
Is there a motion in support of this proclamation?
You have a motion?
Do I have a second on the
You have a
motion?
second?
Being a motion and a second, do we have discussion? Please call the roll.
Trustee Carmona.
Yes.
Trustee Franz.
Yes.
Trustee Fry.
Yes.
Trustee Lomax.
Yes.
Trustee Penicola.
Yes.
That's 5.
Motion carries and the proclamation is approved. Would the Deputy Clerk please read the second proclamation?
Proclamation National Police Week, May 15th through May 21st, 2023. Whereas the men and women of law enforcement play a critical role in protecting the safety and security of our community. And whereas National Police Week is observed across the nation to honor service and sacrifices of those law enforcement officers who have made the ultimate sacrifice in the line of duty. And whereas the Village of Bensenville recognizes the hard work, dedication, and bravery exhibited by our local police department in keeping our community safe. And whereas we want to honor the memory of the brave police officers who have made the ultimate sacrifice across the nation and express our sincere gratitude to those who continue to serve and protect our community. Now therefore, our Village President Frank DeSimone does hereby proclaim the week of May 15th through May 21st, 2023 as National Police Week in the Village of Bensenville, and he calls upon all residents to join him in showing our appreciation and support for the men and women of law enforcement who work tirelessly to keep our community safe. Proclaimed this date, May 9th, 2023.
Is there a motion in support of this proclamation?
You have a motion.
Do I have a second?
Second.
There being a motion and a second, any discussion?
I'd like to invite, after the vote, I'd like Police Chief Dan Schultz to accept the proclamation on behalf of the Bensenville Police Department.
Please call the roll.
Trustee Carmona.
Yes.
Trustee Franz.
Yes.
Trustee Fry.
Yes.
Trustee Lomax.
Yes.
Trustee Penicola.
Yes.
That's 5.
Motion carries and the proclamation is approved.
Thanks, Chief.
We'll move to public comment. Does anyone wish to address the board? If so, please approach the podium and state your name.
Yes, we have a few. Henry Wessler.
I'd like to remind everyone we have 3 minutes per person with a 30-minute time limitation this evening.
There we go. President DeSimone and village trustees, my name is Henry Wessler. I live at 11 West Green Street, right down the street here from Village Hall on the corner, northeast corner of Center Street and Green Street. I'd like to use my allotted 3 minutes to voice my concerns for the proposed property that's being considered across the street from my condo unit. Last Tuesday, May the 2nd, your CDC board heard a request from the proposed builder on the site plan review for a new building. In the review, the builder asked for not one, not two, but 10 variations to established village code. Village code, as all of you board members know, is put into place for the health and well-being of all Bensenville residents. The fact that the builder is asking for all of these variations signals to me that the builder is concerned more about their profit than they are about the health and well-being of my and your Bensenville neighbors. Of the 10 variances that they requested, 4 did not pass the CDC roll call. 3 of the 4 that failed addressed the horrible parking conditions that are proposed. They have 10 one-bedroom apartments upstairs in the building, and on the second floor, they have 4 retail stores, and only enough parking for 9 of the 10 units that are on the top floor. I'm glad your CDC department recognized this serious problem with the proposal. Also at issue in my mind is the appearance and construction of the building. In my opinion, it looks like a public storage facility. It doesn't match the Old Town character of Center Street, Main Street, and Green Street, the buildings that have been around town that I grew up in and in my mind are part of what Bensenville's all about, as well as the brick construction of the Village Hall that we're all sitting here right now. Lastly, I want to bring up the possibility of flooding. This wasn't addressed at all in the proposal. During heavy rains, the elevator shaft in our building, the condo building down the
30
street,
seconds.
floods. This knocks out our elevator for hours and sometimes days at a time. In closing, having new construction in place of that old worn-out building that was there is very important, and I just want to implore the board to make sure that any new development addresses the concerns of all the residents and registered voters that will be affected by that construction that's going to happen at the corner down the street there. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Mr. Paul DeMichael,
I'm Paul DeMichael. I live at 17 W 275 Broadway. I had the pleasure of attending the zoning meeting last week. The first case that bothered me was the lady that applied for massage therapy in the wellness spa. There are 3 of these places in Elmhurst. My wife goes to them. The association with earlier prostitution stings didn't seem relevant unless this woman already had a record. I don't think she got a fair shake, but she needs to talk to the board and see what's going on. The second thing was what Henry just talked about. I refer to it as the Bensenville Barracks. This basically is a 2-story garage. Does not have an elevator. I don't know how I would get to the second floor. There isn't a brick in the building. If you put an elevator shaft in, you have to have a mason there. You know what? I built garages better than this. This is a 1 layer of OSB board over studs. I sure hope it has sprinklers in it, because this is a fire trap that people put up. You need to look at this real hard. I don't think it's something you want on the front and center street here. Thank you.
Valerie Special,
Good evening, Valerie Special, 124 Sioux Drive. I was reviewing this evening's agenda, and I had concerns about the public work resolution authorizing an execution of memorandum of an agreement between the City of Chicago and the Village of Bensenville concerning the installation of operation of certain navigational aid facilities supporting O'Hare International Airport. The resolution deals with the proposed York Road bike path from Irving to Thorndale, where the village is asking the Chicago Department of Aviation for an additional $300,000 in funding for this project. My concerns are around the paragraph, in quotes, Because the village will now be required to spend additional money to design and build the path around the ALSF system through an area that is currently used for compensatory storage of historic poor soils, we are asking for compensation from the CDA, the Chicago Department of Aviation, to cover some of the additional costs through a memorandum of agreement. Evan, my question is towards you. Why is the village storing historic poor soil? And where did the soil come from?
We'll get to that on the agenda item.
Okay, great.
Address it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Rich? Oh, Mike Jeffy.
Sorry, Rich. Well, Rich will go first, and we'll get Mike next. I didn't see it.
Thank you for the opportunity to speak tonight on this issue. And I can only support everything that Henry has said on this particular issue. What I'm concerned about the most is the role model for Bensenville. This building cannot be a role model. First of all, it is nothing like secure or better. Going up and down Roselle, Franklin Park, Elmhurst, and those, everything is brick. Everything is pretty, just like this building is. Okay, this garage, as some people has referred to it, it's ugly, and it's actually built for the benefit of the builder. There's nothing, absolutely nothing, that it lends to the people. In addition to the elevator problem, they do have one handicapped parking spot. So I imagine that they're going to anticipate that it's rented to a handicapped person. Again, you can't get upstairs to where the living quarters are at. In addition, it has a pet wash area. Okay, so they're going to allow pets. That's fine also. Where are they going to walk them? They don't even have a yard to stand in, to tell you the truth. They're going to have to go across the street to the buildings again that are brick, that passed all codes, and is actually beautiful condo or townhouse buildings. The question I had on the original plan, I didn't see whether they had firewalls for the building. And I'm actually surprised that the fire department is passing this building of siding. It's only the second multiple residential building that has not got some brick structure to it. It's just not where Bensenville wants to go. Thank you.
And now Mike Jeffy.
All right, Mike Jaffe here. Congratulations, Trustee Fry, Carmona, and Panicola Jr. for your election victory last month. Also, congratulations to Dr. McCullough, Mrs. Special, and Mrs. Sturchula for running for office. It takes courage to throw your hat in the ring and run for office. It's obvious to me that you're all committed to making Bensenville a better place to live. Thank you all. Although we are located next to one of the busiest airports in the world, Bensenville has the feel of a small town. There are excellent amenities here, the Edge Ice Arena of Edmond Park, both an indoor and outdoor pool, nice parks, and White Pines Golf Course. Thank you, President DeSimone, for bringing in new businesses which help keep our property taxes as low as possible. Evan and Mary are always accessible to talk about concerns I've had in the past. Joe Karachi runs a professional public works department. I see the workers out in the neighborhood all the time. Issues with streets and alleys are being addressed. Curtis Posgay's department also does a fine job. And thank you, Chief Schultz, for quickly responding to my concerns about speeders on Jefferson Street with the sign that shows drivers how fast they're going. Mayor, I believe you're doing a good job and that you love Bensenville. Now that the election is over, I hope we can move on from the politics that did not shine a positive light on our village. It's my sincere hope that the Village and Park District can work as a team to effect positive change. Working collaboratively, sharing resources, whatever else it takes to make our village better would be a great thing. The Bensenville Intergovernment Group, BIG, meetings are a positive step forward. I have two concerns I'd like to address. After the severe storms last month, many huge limbs came down or were dangling from trees. Public Works did a fantastic job cleaning up. I would like to see a regular schedule of trimming parkway trees. I don't know if this is feasible, but I think this would be really good. Also, there are many properties that are well-maintained, but there are many that are not. Tall grass and weeds are an eyesore. If there are enough staff to do regular checks of properties throughout the village, that would help make our community a nicer place to live. Thank you for listening to my concerns.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Is that it?
That's it.
This will conclude public comment. Oh, we have one more?
Chester.
Oh, go ahead, Chester. Yeah, but they won't be able to hear you.
Look how spry he is.
Hmm?
Look how spry he is.
My name is Chester. I live in Hillside Drive. I see today on the news the FAA refused to make it any rotation in our area with the airplane. And my question is, what kind of safety they say they refuse to do this? Before, we don't have a 10C runway, and every airplane was landing and departure with safety. What does mean now is safety? And my question is, how long they gonna terrorize our neighbors, for the line? The reason what I'm talking about it because, we got couple landing, above the El Grove village. And if you're gonna stand on the street, you're gonna see 10 airplane landing over here, one over there. What does mean safety? They landing 12 o'clock on midnight, 2 o'clock midnight. And Mr. Frank, you know what I'm talking about because you live on the same area, My question is, how long this going to be like that, It's I live many years over here, it's disgusting, But
I think Evan's gonna talk about that later.
I
in the-
see
in
him
the
on
meeting.
TV,
He'll address it at the end of the meeting.
Okay, thank you very much.
Anybody else? This will conclude public comment. Is there a motion to approve the minutes from the April 25th, 2023 Village Board meeting?
You have a
Is
motion?
there a second?
You have a second.
Any modifications to the minutes? Please call the roll.
Trustee Carmona?
Yes.
Trustee Franz?
Yes.
Trustee Fry?
Yes.
Trustee Lomax?
Yes.
Trustee Pena Cola?
Yes.
That's five.
Motion carries and minutes are approved. The next item of business is to approve the warrant in the amount of $1,639,258.56. Is there a motion to approve the warrant?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Is there any discussion on the warrant? Call the roll, please.
Trustee Carmona?
Yes.
Trustee Franz?
Yes.
Trustee Fry?
Yes.
Trustee Lomax?
Yes.
Trustee Pena Cola?
Yes.
That's five.
Motion carries and the warrant approved. There are no items on the consent agenda. A resolution authorizing the execution of a contract with Tria Architecture for the Senior Center Construction Oversight Services in the not to exceed amount of $40,000. Is there a motion to approve this resolution?
You have a
Do I
motion?
have a second?
Second.
Being a motion and a second, Curtis, are you taking this one?
Joe's taking it.
Joe is? Okay, sorry.
Yep, so our senior center's construction is progressing nicely. It's currently on schedule. Tria Architecture, who performed the design, has also been overseeing the project. Fortunately, there was an oversight in the oversight. Our initial contract did not include the oversight, which we thought it did. So we're coming back to you today with another contract to actually oversee the project. They've been doing it already. I asked them for a T&M type of contract not to exceed $40,000. We basically pay them for the time that they're here, the time that they're doing some submittal reviews and whatnot back in the office. So it's our recommendation to approve this resolution, and we've been very happy with their services thus far.
I will point out that we have $150,000 in the budget for construction oversight, so this is just a small fraction of what we intended, what we expected we were going to spend.
Thank you.
Any other questions from the board? Please call the roll.
Trustee Carmona?
Yes.
Trustee Franz?
Yes.
Trustee Fry?
Yes.
Trustee Lomax?
Yes.
Trustee Pena Cola?
Yes.
That's five.
Motion carries, resolution is approved. 2 is a resolution authorizing the execution of a memorandum of agreement between the City of Chicago and the Village of Bensonville concerning the installation and operation of certain navigational aid facilities supporting O'Hare International Airport. Is there a motion to approve this resolution?
You have a
Is there
motion?
a second?
Second?
Being a motion and a second, discussion?
So these next two items are very much related, so I'll try to tackle both of them at the same time. The city of Chicago is required, as part of their runway work, to put up this ALSF system. It's an advanced warning system, a light system for the planes as they land. So we want to make sure that these are installed because we want the planes to be landing in this area, which would hopefully help us with the southern runways down the road too, pending this issue that came up this week. On your screen in front of you, to try to explain what's going on, is this, I thought the green would show up a little bit better, but there's a little L-shaped area right in the middle of the drawing, backwards L. That is the ALSF system. This is a structure that's going to be built on a number of piers. It's a bridge structure, and on top of them are the light towers that you see at the end of every runway. They are required by the FAA to have these light fixtures put in a certain location. They were able to fit the location between the York Road right-of-way that's owned by DuPage County. The village actually has 2 easements that run through this new facility. There was an old proposed water main easement and a proposed bike path or sidewalk easement. Unfortunately, the CDA did not notice this during their design, had their bridge fabricated, and have come to us recently to try to see if we would vacate those 2 easements. We're not really interested in vacating those easements, so we've had multiple discussions with the CDA, with DuPage County, which owns the property that they're building this on, as well as the tollway, which owns some more property that they're building this on. So we have 4 different agencies all together working on trying to find agreements to get this system built. Because their bridge is going to go through our 2 easements, we've been discussing possible alternate locations for our future bike path. This future bike path will connect Elk Grove Village to the tollway and then all the way down to eventually Irving Park Road. On your drawing, there are 2 locations of future bike paths that we can take. The one in blue would require us to go around the ALSF facility. And then there's another one that's kind of tucked into the right of the 2 pink easements between the ALSF system and the York Road land bridge. That would be my preferred location. However, the county has told us that there may be a need for them to go to 6 lanes on York Road in the future. If they go to 6 lanes on York Road in the future, that would not be, there wouldn't be enough space for us to put the bike path there. So we're going to be looking at engineering both options, trying to figure out what the best way to go about it is. During our discussions with the CDA, they understand that if we do have to go around this bridge, it's going to be more bridge for us to build. It is going to go through a compensatory storage, an existing compensatory storage area. That storage is for drainage and stormwater for the tollway project itself, so that's owned by the tollway. If we have to encroach on that comp storage area, we would have to relocate that comp storage area somewhere else upstream. The tollway has already told us that they have a space that we could do that. It would just be, again, additional cost. To answer Ms. Special's other question about the historically poor soils, we're not storing any poor soils up there. It's just that that area is made up of a lot of peat soil. So it is not the best material to be building structures on. We would have to probably build a pier or 2 or 4 to actually get this bike path around this ALSF system.
So
we're
it's
storing-
it's not contaminated soil.
It's not contaminated soil,
just-
it's just poor.
You don't want to build on it.
Buildable soil that currently exists out there. The tollway is actually gonna be rebuilding Supreme Road for us, and they have to actually build new timber pile bridges or piers for them to put that on because they can't support, the truck traffic that's there. If you've ever driven down Supreme, there's a big huge dip right there. It's because the ground settles below it. So the area is made up of poor soils. The future bike path potentially could go through a compensatory storage area, which would require us additional funds to have to relocate that compensatory storage, as well as the additional cost of the construction. In front of you tonight are 2 different agreements. One of them is an MOA with the City of Chicago. We're still currently in the process of finalizing this MOA with the city, working back and forth with our attorney, trying to find the best language to serve the village's best interest. The CDA has offered to pay $300,000 to the village because of this kind of wraparound that we're gonna have to do and the engineering studies that we're gonna have to perform. So the MOA that's in front of you first is an agreement with the City of Chicago to allow them to build in our easement, and in payment for that, they will give us $300,000 to put towards the construction and design of this bike path. The second item in front of you is an IGA between the village, DuPage County, and CDA. The CDA needs the county's permission to build this on part of the land that they own. The county has been reluctant to give them that permission until the Village of Bensonville's easement issue has been resolved. So I owe a lot of gratitude to Chris Snyder over at DuPage County for keeping our best interests in mind. They could have signed this and we kind of would have been screwed. But they supported us. He will not sign that IGA until we sign the IGA first. CDA will sign it second, and then they will sign it third. So again, in front of you are two different agreements that are necessary for the city of Chicago to move forward with the actual construction of their bridge.
This has been one of the most complicated, small agreements Joe and I have ever worked on. There's been a countless number of meetings on this with really smart people trying to figure out how to construct this future bike path that frankly I didn't even know was there. It was a proposed easement. Joe, thank you for your work on this. What's not in front of you is in the alphabet soup is there was discussion of an LOU, which was a letter of understanding between the people who have negotiated this agreement to make sure that we're all on the same page. That doesn't need to come to the board. So this is a very complicated way to preserve the village's interest. $300,000 is a lot of money for a easement, a proposed easement encroachment. We did make a very compelling argument to the city of Chicago that the costs we're going to incur make it worth $300,000. I was accused of extortion by the city of Chicago, which I'm proud to be accused of by the city of Chicago. It tells me I got the right amount of money. So.
Thank you. Thanks, Joe. Any questions from the board?
Yeah, I have a couple. Do they have a time frame for the 6-lane work on York Road?
They do not. Actually, the tollway will be reconstructing York Road in its current configuration. They're looking at pushing that forward to possibly 2024. Initially, it was scheduled to be done after all the flyover bridges were constructed across York Road, which I still think is the smarter move. But they're building it to the same cross-section. There's also this land bridge that goes right through this area that they are doing some rehab to, but they're not rebuilding. If they were going to go to 6 lanes, they would have to extend and widen the land bridge as well as all of the construction of the
Right.
roadway that they're going to be redoing here in the next couple of years. I don't think it's a 6-lane option that's in the very near future. I would think that they're going to see how 390, 490 works out, what the western access becomes, and do some traffic counts and configurations to see if 6 lanes would be warranted in that area. I would venture to guess that we're probably 10 to 20 years out before they would even pull the trigger on that.
Okay. Second question I had is, as far as the $300,000 that Evan is so eloquently extorted from the city, will that cover the cost of the different design to the new walkway? Or will we have to come out of pocket still for that?
I'll take that one. We always anticipated we were going to pay for the bike path, likely through a grant. An ITEP grant would be the appropriate one here. What this does for us is, and we were able to negotiate, this was a significant negotiation. That $300,000 was initially only going to be able to pay for construction. I negotiated that it can also pay for engineering. So what we'll be able to do is have a shovel-ready project, hopefully. We hope that $300,000 will cover the engineering portion, so we'll have a shovel-ready project ready to go.
Okay.
We'll still see grant funding, an 80-20 match or 50-50 match.
Great, thank you.
Any other questions from the board?
I just had one. What's the timeline for this actual, I guess, this navigation system or this piece of equipment to go up? Is it this year they're looking at putting it up then, or?
They wanted to build
Yesterday.
it 6 months ago.
Six months ago. Oh,
So they have the bridge. The bridge is built, fabricated, and in their possession, so they are very anxious to get out there and get that built. So
Okay.
We
as
have
soon as
heard-
we get the agreements and the attorneys to agree on what the final agreement's gonna be, then it's just a matter of signatures. They want to go.
okay.
Yeah, and so they want to start construction immediately. It will hopefully wrap up by January of 2024.
Got it, real quick. The poor soil and the ability to build on it. What what are they going to do to put reinforcements in? Those types of things. What do we have as far as that's concerned?
Joe, you can explain the engineering
Yep.
on this one.
So that's going to be part of the design engineering for the actual phase 2 work, which is the actual design of the piers, and it's going to be on structures.
Okay.
So this is not something that we're going to likely have as embankment or an addition onto the existing land bridge. It's probably gonna be piers and a boardwalk type of bike path is what I would anticipate.
Okay.
Again, the poor soils, you basically have to go through the poor soils to get down to some sort of a bedrock area so that you could support the piers moving forward.
So I think your question may have been for O'Hare's installation, that equipment.
Right.
Same thing.
Same
They're gonna go down to the bedrock where the poor soils don't exist anymore. It'll be an elevated, it's like a bridge essentially, so they can access these lights. This is an expensive design. This is not how you would want to design this, but this is what the soil conditions force their hand.
They have 6 piers that will support their bridge system. That L shape is on 6 different piers.
Okay.
Any other questions? Please call the roll.
Trustee Carmona?
Yes.
Trustee Franz?
Yes.
Trustee Fry?
Yes.
Trustee Lomax?
Yes.
Trustee Pena Cola?
Yes.
That's fine.
Motion carries, the resolution is approved. 3 is a resolution authorizing the execution of an intergovernmental agreement, which is an IGA, between the County of DuPage, the City of Chicago, and the Village of Bensonville concerning the installation and operation of certain navigational aid facilities supporting O'Hare International Airport. Is there a motion to approve this resolution?
You have a
Do I
motion?
have a second?
Second.
Being a motion and a second, Joe, are we summed up with the first one, or you got more?
No further comments.
Okay. Any questions from the board? Please call the roll.
Trustee Carmona?
Yes.
Trustee Franz?
Yes.
Trustee Fry?
Yes.
Trustee Lomax?
Yes.
Trustee Pena Cola?
Yes.
That's 5.
Motion carries and resolution is approved. Under presidential remarks, we have a few. As a reminder, as the construction continues here at Village Hall for our new senior and community center, for everyone's safety, we ask that you do not enter designated tarped-off areas. Thank you again for your patience during this transition. Our next senior lunch will be June 6th at Green Street Grill. The cost is $5. Doors open at 10 a.m. and lunch is served at 11 a.m. For more information, please call the senior hotline at 630-350-3426. Our annual spring community garage sale has been scheduled for June 1st through the 4th. Permits can be picked up at Village Hall or emailed. Please see the village website for details. And something new that we're going to try downtown Bensonville, Grand Subaru, in conjunction with the Bensonville Community Foundation, will be having a free community event called Cars and Clothes on Friday, May 19th from 5:30 to 8 in downtown Bensonville. There will be inflatables, mini golf, carnival games, a car show, and more. Participants are encouraged to drop off gently used clothes, and for more information, please pick up a flyer at Village Hall or at Grand Subaru. That will conclude presidential remarks. Do we have a village manager's report?
Thank you, Ron. I have 2 issues. I'll start with trains. The next item will be planes, but we'll start with trains. As we all know, and I've discussed, the merger between Canadian Pacific and Kansas City Southern was approved by the Surface Transportation Board on March 15th. That's not good for Bensonville. We're going to see that 400% increase in freight traffic along our metro line here. We truly believe as a staff, as a board, and as a coalition of communities that are impacted by this, that the Surface Transportation Board got it wrong. They didn't do the hard look that's required under the National Environmental Protection Act. So, and I've discussed this with the mayor at length, tomorrow the coalition will take a vote, and I anticipate they will vote to file a judicial review in the 7th Circuit Appellate Courts saying that the Surface Transportation Board got it wrong, and we're not looking to overturn the merger. I'm not going to sit here and say that's going to happen. We've always been clear-eyed about that. What we're asking is to do a supplemental environmental impact statement to look at the Chicago region, because Chicago is different than the rest of this merger. Chicago is not Iowa. Chicago is not Texas. Chicago has every Class 1 rail carrier here. Chicago has some of the most dense traffic, or densest concentration, rather, of rail yards. And they didn't look at that. They didn't take that into consideration. Metro's own filing stated that if this merger goes through, it could break the Chicago rail system. We're going to ask the Surface Transportation Board to relook at that. It's within the authority that was already granted by this board at the start of this merger back in 2021. We are well under budget with what was budgeted. I think we're still below $50,000 for this entire past year. I anticipate that the judicial review at the appellate court level will cost an additional $8,000. I think for $8,000, if we get $8,001 worth of benefit out of it, that's a return on investment. It's worth it to do that. So I'm just notifying you that I anticipate that lawsuit will be filed on Friday. Second is planes. Usually I try to use this time to tell all the good things that the Village of Bensonville is doing, and today I'm disheartened As Chester mentioned, on Friday, we received a letter from the FAA that said the fly quiet rotation plan that we have worked on for the last 8 years, that hundreds and hundreds of hours were spent on, is untenable due to safety concerns. They're saying that the rotation of the runways is possible, but the headings isn't. We need to disperse these aircraft. That was always talked about. The FAA was in the room when we talked about it. So for them to say this is somewhat disingenuous. The headings that we proposed that everyone agreed on, all communities around the airport agreed on, are headings that are being flown today during daytime hours when there's 1,000 planes a day. We were simply looking at the nighttime hours where there's 100 planes a day. So I can't see the safety concerns there. I've spent today talking to the media, talking to the FAA, trying to find a path forward, and I am sorry to say I do not know what that path is right now. I could always see it at the light at the end of the tunnel, but as Mac put it, that light may have been a freight train coming towards me. I've always told you guys it's better to have a seat at the table or else you're on the menu, and I feel like the FAA removed the table out of under us. So I'm pulling the levers, and I've talked to Frank. He's given me the authority to pull the levers that I have, which are PR and legislative. I've been talking to the press. I've been putting the FAA on notice that they got this wrong, and we're going to start talking to our Congress people about what the FAA is doing here. When we started this journey 8 years ago, we knew it was going to be difficult. We knew that we were going to struggle with the city of Chicago. We knew we were going to struggle with the airlines. We knew we were going to struggle with some of the towns. I got all of them on board. Everybody was rowing the same direction. What I didn't factor was the FAA, the federal regulator who's supposed to be working for the people, was going to be the problem. So I'm disheartened. That's my update. I just have to notify you that, and sometimes things aren't always hunky-dory here in the village of Bensonville. That's my time. Thank you, sir.
Just so you guys know, Evan got yelled at today because he was too aggressive with his fight against the FAA, and I gave him like 100 times more authority to be more aggressive towards the fight. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Evan.
I know it's not easy on you. I've never seen him that red, but it's good to see that he still has the fire in his belly. So thank you very much.
Thanks, sir.
Thank you, Evan.
Village Attorney's report.
I have no report.
Is there any unfinished business to come before the board today? Is there any new business to come before the board today? Need for executive session?
There is not.
Is there a motion to adjourn? Do I have a second? Please call the roll.
Trustee Carmona?
Yes.
Trustee Franz?
Yes.
Trustee Fry? Yes. Trustee Lomax? Yes. Trustee Penicola?
Yes.
That's five.
Motion carries. We are adjourned. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.